Okay, my name is Jim Reed. I run Next Level Coaching. We're a coaching program for people doing 4 loans a month that want to get to 10. And we have a next level after that. But for most of the people that have been doing loans the last 3 years, they know 50, 60 loans a year is pretty damn good. And over 100 is amazing. And very rarely we see people do more than that these days. There are definitely some of them, but it's not a ton. And our coaching program is really about back to basics, but adding technology and using it for leverage. And one of our students, Tim Samuels, is on. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, buddy.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about your ride through coaching, because I know you were in another coaching program and then you weren't, and then you came and joined us. And like production and a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was in another coaching company. It did me a ton. It was well worth it. I'll never say anything bad, but it did become like it felt kind of stale. I was going over just the same things. So I left that and tried a couple other different coaching companies. I was not impressed. The accountability wasn't there. Literally, the coaches weren't on time. They weren't organized. That was very tough. It kind of gives you a tick and a bad one.
Mm.
So, you and I have known each other for years, and I kind of circled back. I like your program. It's helped me a lot with my production because it gets right back to the accountability and discipline. We don't, I don't feel like we do a lot of fluff,
Yeah.
which is really good for me because I just don't have a high capacity for that stuff.
That's
So
probably
when
why we
it's
get along.
That's right. That's right. Direct questions, direct answers. Life is good, no excuses, and we just get a lot of work done. So that's what's really been very helpful with Next Level. It's kind of gotten me back to where my roots are and probably the best way I know how to learn and grow.
Well, I know that you fit because your results have gone way up. I think they've tripled in terms of units per month since you joined our program. Did you know that? They've more than tripled on average.
I didn't know it was triple, but I've definitely felt an increase and seen a better paycheck for sure.
But I know for me, and I don't know, maybe for you, it seemed like maybe for you, but for me, I got stuck a little bit. And by stuck, I mean in my mind. I've done a lot of mortgages and I've had a big branch my whole career, like my entire career. I've done a lot of loans. I've had a big branch. I've never not 1 minute. And I started losing a lot. Like I lost a lot of realtors to them getting out or them trying somebody else. I lost a lot of loan officers and I got stuck in a little bit of the blame game. I did. And I
Yeah.
got stuck in a little bit of the don't they know who I am?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, did you go through that after COVID? That, we all got so lucky during that time frame, and then we got equally as unlucky afterwards. And now I feel whole again, to be honest. But did you go through that?
I definitely did. You kind of start thinking you're a little bit entitled to it, and it's a bad mindset. So we got out of that. We got back into your, start, stop, keep mentality and, acting like we're not entitled to the business, but putting our best foot forward every day to go earn the business.
Yeah, yeah. People started feeling like they've arrived.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm
Like
telling
they're
you, three
due.
different times in my career, that being the third, I felt like I arrived, and each time I was corrected. And
Yeah.
Rick's been a big mentor and coach of mine my entire career, and he always said that to me, and he was right. Um, Success is borrowed; it's never owned, and that's what we believe in our coaching programs. You got to do the work every day. So, tell me about some tactics that you either re-engaged in, or started newly that have worked since you joined our program that have gotten you some real results in terms of not only your business, like your realtor count, because your realtor count is way up from
Yep.
what it was when we first started. So talk about that a little bit. I'll save my next question for after that one's done.
Sure. No, looking at, is diving deep into the, like your accounts pyramid, people you do business with, people you think you do business with, and then the people you actually really do the business with. To take a very like, naked approach to it and actually see it and be honest with yourself was really good. We adapted the start, stop, and keep mentality about different things we're doing. Because some things, might have been easy and comfortable to do, but if they weren't having a good return or a good success or a good benefit, we just waived them. and we put our money to where it was more effective. Honestly, one of the things too that helped me was, I've always made my 40 phone calls and touches on Mondays. I always have. I mean, 2 to 3 times a year I won't, and that's usually like Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that kind of flipped the script was call when realtors are available. They're not available Monday morning. The good ones should be reviewing offers, calling people back. So I started calling after lunch, and it flipped my contact rate, from getting hold of about 20% of the people to then 80% of the people. And you have better conversations with them. Um,
Wow. Hold on. That was amazing.
yeah.
People don't understand how big that is. Like I've grown. I've I've hired over three or 400 loan officers to work for me, and uh, I have told every one of them, if you want to see the realtors that are working, go to the offices in the afternoons and
Yep.
early evenings. There's no one working at a real estate office at 9 to 11 o'clock in the morning, except the receptionist.
Yep.
There's no one there. The administrative people who have a schedule, they're there. But the salespeople who are getting business done, they worked late last night. They're
Hmm.
working from home this morning and they're not taking calls. They're like you said, they're going through their money makers.
Yeah.
And just switching to the afternoon on those calls is a big deal. And the only way you can do that, you have consultations and everybody's like, well, that's when I take my loan consultation. Well, listen, if you're trying to do 10 loans a month, you need 20 consultation spots a month. So
Hmm.
there's 4 weeks in a month. So you need 5 a week. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you pick 2 days and have two on Tuesday and two on Wednesday and one on Friday morning, that's five. That leaves you all Monday of no loan consultations to do these calls. What a big one. That was huge. I just had to emphasize it.
Yeah. It helped a lot. And then, you got the challenge, put to me that I need to expand how many realtors I talk to. And I got out of the small mindset, being a bigger fish in a small pond. Hey, I'm like top in the county. Everywhere I think about. Then I was like, you know what? You gave us a challenge to talk to more people, and now I'm in a few other counties, prospecting, going face to face. And it kind of reminds me of about 15 years ago when I was younger in the industry and wasn't entitled and didn't have the business and the knowledge and everything like that. I'm literally going out, shaking hands and trying to make friends. And it's kind of funny, like you get kicked in the teeth a little bit, people tell you no. But now it's like, okay, you said no now, but I'll keep coming, I'll keep bringing value. You'll say yes.
It's
I'll
true.
save you a deal. I'll show you how to make more money. You'll open the door to me.
Oh, you gave me chills. The worst answer you can get is yes on the first meeting. That's the worst
Right?
one you can get. If they say that, I guarantee you they're not using you.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. They're just trying to get you to move on.
Hmm.
They got the guts to tell you no. I'm like, I got a chance.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It's
right.
just a
So it's
mind shift. It's
been
totally a
pretty good.
mentality because now I'm not beating myself up and feeling like a failure, number one. So I'm going to keep going back. But number two, it's the truth.
Hmm.
That's awesome. We really, you brought up another thing that is so big is that, you got to go really deep with 10 to 20 good referral partners and you got to go really wide with 500 to 1,000.
Yeah.
And, and a market that used to be big enough to support someone's family is no longer big enough. And you
No.
have to expand and go to the town next to you and maybe two towns next to you. And you got to put that into your calendar and you got to make it happen. Your town is still your cake.
Hmm.
These towns are frosting.
Yeah.
And cake without frosting ain't that great. And cake
No.
with too much frosting really is nasty. You
Yeah.
got to do it in the right proportions. And you've been doing that. That's what's been adding on to your numbers.
Hmm.
So what about your money along this way? And we talk about money in our program. We were taught that by our old program, and Rick, which
Yep.
we both have nothing but love for. Um, but it's the biggest change in my life is paying attention to the money that gives me choices when things are really tough.
Yep.
Being able to take your kids to Disneyland when everybody else is like worried about their next house payment is only because of a budget system that he taught us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But your money was different than it was when you were being coached when we were both in that program.
Yeah.
But now it's getting back there. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's been good. I mean, I think really taking a look at it, and I put myself in a position where I am check to check, but it's on purpose. I
Oh,
mean, I pay myself first, automatic savings. as of actually last paycheck, I had finished contributing to my 401k for the year. So I kind of strapped myself pretty hard, for first quarter, got that out of the way, and the rest of the year, I'll have that coming in. I pay into match
How
for
much have you saved already this year altogether between that and regular savings?
I want to say whatever I saved in 401k, I matched in my deferred comp coming out. So that's got to be 47, a couple other. I bet you I am right around $62,000 year to date saved.
So if you quadruple that, that's $240,000 you'll save this year.
Right, right. And I've got
Quarter
a
million
goal for,
bucks.
yeah, that's right. I've got a goal for savings. The market comes back and helps me a little bit with that. That'll be good. But I've definitely put my money into being saved, just because, like you said, with our last mentor, he is, you don't beat the market by not being in the market, so keep saving and keep putting the money
That
away.
one's tough right now, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is
It
because,
does make it easier to save, I'll tell you, when you implement our tactics and you're doing more loans. Like
sure does.
cutting costs, I do it, but it's not fun. Getting
No,
rid of gardeners, getting rid of cable service, getting rid of the fertilizer guy. I got rid of so many people during this transition in this
yeah.
market. It's not that fun. It's much more fun to go out another town to who you're calling on and I ask every realtor that likes you to introduce you to another one and do more business is a lot more fun. And you've definitely focused on that.
Way better. And like I'm not immune. We went through the bank statement line by line, said, what can we live without? Tighten the belt. But we didn't I didn't get rid of vacations with the family. I didn't get rid of spending time with my kids. I didn't cut back on any of that. I cut back on stuff that just wasn't gonna move the needle.
So how many realtors do you work with right now? How many realtors, let me say it differently. How many business partners? Most of those are going to be realtors in this kind of market. How many business partners, referral partners are you like receiving leads from on a monthly basis?
I'd say it's 20, because there's people that I'm meeting with. Um, you know, I, I think sometimes people are silly to think that they're going to get 100% of even their best realtors' leads,
No,
and
they're
I used
not.
to
They're going
think,
to get, I'll tell you, I'll just stop you right there. I'll tell you
yeah,
what success is 50% of their closings.
I think it is.
That's
I
like the
really think it
best
is.
you can ever do.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's some times where they can't move that person over. I get it. I get it. But I know they tried.
Yeah.
I know it's there, and I know I'm on their speed dial. And there's people that like to collaborate. I like to see that I've had other conversations about business, not just a one transaction, but they go, "Hey, I saw that you did a really cool client appreciation event. Can I pick your brain on that?" Those are the better conversations I like to have with people because if they're asking me about that stuff, they know that I can deliver on the loans. Now they're asking me the higher level things.
I think a lot of lenders, a couple ideas, a lot of lenders misuse or miss false expectations of social media.
Yeah.
Social media is about awareness. It's about recognition. It's about them seeing you successful
Yeah.
and seeing you as whatever you're putting out there, a businessman, a family man, a good man. And and mostly the job of social media is, which is the secret to this business, is you
Yeah.
got to be highly active and highly
Yep.
visible. You have to be highly active and highly visible. And you can't do that in your jammies at home.
No.
COVID ruined 75% of loan officers because they could do business from home and they
Yeah.
could make a lot of money. It ain't that way. I don't know anybody in their jammies making a lot of business and it just doesn't happen. You got to be highly active and highly visible. For you guys who don't know what jammies are, those are pajamas
Yeah.
or chonies. That's underwear. I've seen them in underwear too.
No, never, never.
That's not good. I just did a call for another mortgage company for a big group of salespeople, and I'm like, for 10 minutes, I ripped them on what they were wearing. This is casual as I get at
Yep.
work. And I got an event after this that's a on a golf course, like 10 realtors doing a lesson. I got my pro at the golf course to give a clinic. So they're gonna go out there and they're gonna have a glass of wine, they're gonna clinic, and we're gonna hang out. I'll
That's
get you
fine.
business.
Yeah.
um, but what tactics did you implement the most to go wider? Like, or let me ask it to you this way. This is a better way. You've implemented a lot of stuff I've asked you to implement.
Hmm.
You've changed a lot of stuff on your P&L, how you take the money. You've
Hmm.
been super coachable. What's one thing maybe either you haven't been coachable about or you haven't gotten to yet when it comes to the next step for your business?
I think, and I know you're implementing in a way, and I need to get caught up. I need to get really good and focus on it. Is when you bring in extra resources. It could be a top performing realtor that's going to share tactics about how they got more listings or they recovered some accounts. Just whenever you bring in a specialist, I haven't done a good enough job of sharing that with the my crowd and the people I'm prospecting, and I need to. And one mental thing is how do I get the word out to them? So I got to quit struggling with that. I just gotta launch it. Um, that's probably been the biggest one. I know I've done it a few times with certain topics, and I probably just need to stop and I need to do it all. And if people don't want to hear the information, they are smart enough and know their schedules and all that. They can just leave the chat. But I need to have it there for them as a resource. And, if they choose it, you never know. Somebody might catch 5 minutes of something, get one tactic and implement it, and they get a deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Giver's Gate. I learned that from Byron
Right.
Only, right? I'm a master grad from a program, not from Byron Only. I learned it from Rapport Leadership International. I'm a master grad from that program. It just means you took 3 classes, but the 3 classes are 3-day classes. It's pretty serious and intense. Um, and it teaches you simple things about yourself. And one of the things two things that it taught me that apply to what you're talking about is number one, giver's game. You got to give, 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 give.
Hmm.
If you're just taking, you got a short relationship with anybody you come across.
Yeah.
So giver's game. You're really, really good at that. The second thing is to stop worrying about what people think.
Yep.
Like what I hear you say, and what was something I've heard from almost every loan officer I've worked with, is they're worried that if they do too much of this, someone's not gonna choose them. Well,
Yeah.
that person's already not choosing them.
Yep.
They haven't lost anything. But if someone is gonna not choose you because you gave, do you really want them?
Right.
Think like that.
Yeah. It's easy that way.
Yeah, who would want that? Excellent. So we got to wrap up in just a few minutes. What
Sure.
would you say is next for your business? Like a year from now or 2 years from now, what's your business look like?
You know, I
Team size, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the team size is gonna grow by one. And and I say it, I know everybody's thinking it, but rates are gonna get better. And so we're gonna have the capacity for refinance. It's gonna be people that want the free refinance, hey, I'm gonna get a lower payment. It's gonna be the people that need to refinance because the payments are just too much. They need some relief. I'll have somebody else that can start taking applications for me and take the applications the way I want, very factual, very complete. And so I can move at a higher level of things. And we are training that person now. So we'll need somebody else to join the team. I
So pause
would,
right there because I love that. There's
yeah,
three. You guys pay attention. Three is a magic number.
yep,
You're an originator, and you have 2 full-time people that work just for you,
hmm,
one on the front end and one on the back end. You
right,
can do 150 to 180 transactions a year and
hmm,
take really good care of people and have
yeah,
a really good life.
yeah,
Balanced, I don't know what balance means. To me, balance is one thing. To you, balance is another. To some, balance is 30 hours a week. To some, balance is 50 hours a week.
yeah,
To me, balance is about 50. I work a hard 10-hour day and I don't work on the weekends. Or I take Friday off and work a half day on Saturday. If I get around 45 to 50 hours really, really hard, I'm going to achieve the stuff I want to achieve. But the only way I can do that is to do enough business to afford 2. So it's me and 2 having 3. It's
yep.
just magical. And that's where you're headed.
Yeah, it's working really good. We've tightened the P&L. You and I have gone over that. I mean, and it's from everything, talking about margins to cost to reoccurring things to renegotiating some things.
Yeah,
And I
you've done a
felt it's
really
been
good job of renegotiating some things.
thank you, thank you. And it's been with, your influence, like, hey, this needs to be done. And instead of before where I might have been, well, it was just like, okay, that's the next email I'm sending once we're off this call and the action I'm going to take. And it's so much easier. It's less stress. You give me
And
an
you can blame
assignment,
me.
I execute it.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Make
Awesome.
mission.
Well, listen, I want to wrap up with this, and I'll take some last words from you. But I think I think when you first came into our program, you were here, And then I don't know what happened, but something changed and you were all in and you do
Mhm.
everything I ask. And when people pick someone to follow and they do what they ask, they're gonna grow and you've grown tremendously.
Thank you.
It's been fun to watch. So last words from you before we go.
I'm excited about the business to come. I think a lot of people they don't realize, it was always the your what is it, fight, flight, or fear.
Huh.
I think people don't realize that they're fighting, they're flighting, they're in fear, or they froze. And so I've been looking at that like every single topic. Am I afraid of doing that? Am I fighting doing that? Am I just indecisive about it, or am I scared of doing that? And so I think that's been easier for me to kind of go through and make decisions that way. And I cut out how long I take to make decisions now from weighing on it and thinking about it mentally, maybe wrestling with it to if it's these categories, is it going to move the needle, take care of more people, or it's not? And then we move forward.
Last year was the lowest first recorded deeds, like first deeds recorded in the nation in 29 years. How many loans did you close?
96.
How many are going to close this year?
We're going to be up with that. I want to be at 120.
You'll
Yeah.
be at 120, I'll make
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty confident.
120 loans a year, 4 or 5 grand a loan, $700,000 income, save 30% of it. It's a pretty good life.
It's a good life. Yeah.
Good life. Thanks for being with us, brother. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jim, man.